And so back in 2010, I was at this historic preservation forum, and I was representing Angel Island. And I met this lady named Fumiko Carol Fujita, who'd been one of the early members of the LIL Tokyo Historical Society, and she had done like 2 to 3 years of research on Japanese American civil rights leader. And I was like, oh, well, I bet to my peers this is probably not as interesting. But the fact that my parents are like involved in sort of civil rights, they're attorneys, I was like, well, I bet if I tried hard enough, maybe I could make an interesting story that would be compelling to audiences my age as well as older audiences. And so we learned about this story about this man who was historically overturned the California Alien Land Law, which was the law that had prohibited many minorities who were non-citizens from owning land. And with the research, we found out more information about how he was fighting crime in Little Tokyo and how some of the mafia were going after him. And there's multiple occasions of assassination attempts on his life. And also, since back then it was a bachelor society, he also, was quite the womanizer per se. And so he was much more colorful than just like historically accomplishing, 2 Supreme Court cases he won. Chris is such an accomplished individual, and I was very intimidated. In fact, I brought him the script, and I had flown down, right? And he was about to say to me, I'll take a look and I'll let you know. And I was like, yeah, I was thinking, I'm not leaving without him reading the script. and so I was like, I have some time, why don't you just take a look at it? And I sat there for 30 minutes. I think our script was only like probably 25 pages at that time. And I was surrounded by his awards. He had his Oscars, he's had his other television awards. And it was so nerve-wracking because he's got this composure and he's so silent.
Yeah, he is.
And so by the time he gets to the last page, he's like looking, and then he looks up, he's like, I'm in. So I've been doing further research on Sei Fujii's history, and there's this biography that was written entirely in Japanese about his life, and the author is still alive in Japan, so I actually traveled back to Japan winter 2011 with Fumiko Carol Fujita, our executive producer, and got the rights to potentially translate it into English. And so we've been having it sort of translated roughly throughout this past year, and I'm learning history about early Asian immigrants sneaking over the Mexican border in 1920s, and by the time they get towards the border, people selling illegal immigration papers. And so Sei Fujii and J. Marion Wright were both involved in these situations. J. Marion Wright was actually defending this person in court that was selling these illegal papers because no one else would represent him, and Sei Fujii was defending the new immigrant. So it's kind of interesting, these complexities. And what does it mean when a man risks his life, for his people, for the future of his people? He was a very forward-thinking individual. For the Issei, the first generations, he thought that, yes, retain your Japanese traditions. But for the Nisei, he thought, learn English, become part of American society, join in on the American experience. And I think, that's very important for us to tell.